Welcome to another explainer. Have you ever opened up your phone to read the news, only to immediately feel completely overwhelmed by the noise, the bias, and just the sheer absolute volume of information out there? Yeah, we've all been there. Today, we're looking at a platform that tackles this modern chaos head-on. It's an app called FLIC, and it acts as this really structured, dual-engine solution to help us navigate the media landscape. Basically, by combining the sheer speed of artificial intelligence with the critical thinking of crowdsourced human ratings, FLIC aims to make us way smarter, more aware consumers of information. Okay, let's dive into this and see exactly how it works. So here is our quick roadmap for today. We're going to be covering 1. The mission to rate news, 2. AI analysis and summaries, 3. Community-driven bias ratings, 4. Evaluating sources and authors, 5. Gamifying the news experience, and finally, 6. Curating a personalized feed. Let's start right in with Section 1, the mission to rate news, categorizing the media landscape. Now, before we look at how a single article is actually processed, we really need to understand the fundamental goal of the platform. Take a look at FLIC's core branding. Right below their logo, you'll see their mission statement: rate the news, fight misinformation. But the real key to understand here is the color coding. These 4 colors literally form the foundational pillars of this entire ecosystem. Blue stands for liberal-leaning content, red represents conservative-leaning content, purple is for independent or centrist reporting, and black, well, black is the designation for fake news or highly misleading information. As we move through this explainer, you're going to see these colors constantly at work, instantly communicating the leaning of an article, an author, or an entire publication. Moving right along to Section 2, AI analysis and summaries, the first engine. So how does this actually play out at the article level? Well, before any human ever casts a vote on a story's bias, FLIC's first engine, which is the artificial intelligence, goes to work in a really simple 3-step process. First, you browse and open a news article. Second, the AI instantly generates a summary of the hard facts. And third, and actually this is the really cool part, the AI specifically scans the text looking for emotional manipulation or logical fallacies. Let's look at exactly what those AI outputs look like in practice. Here is step 2 in action on a real article from The Hindu about a papal visit to France. Instead of sifting through massive paragraphs to find the basic who, what, and where, the AI quick summary just hands you 3 concise, factual bullet points. It notes the September visit, the stop at UNESCO, and the context regarding international engagements. It's a huge time saver, allowing you to grasp the core facts in seconds before diving into the nuance of the full article. But step 3 is where things get really powerful. Look at the manipulation analysis for that exact same article. Notice how the AI is acting completely neutrally here. It's not judging the politics, it's just judging the journalistic structure. It flags that the loaded language is low and the emotional appeals are minimal, which is great, right? However, it also neutrally points out that there is missing context regarding the statistical or historical implications of the Pope not visiting the US. This kind of immediate, neutral critique trains the reader to look for what isn't in the article just as much as what is. So, how does the system actually arrive at a score? Well, the AI weighs loaded language, perspective balance, statistical context, and emotional appeals all together to assign an overarching credibility score. For our example article, it earned a solid 8 out of 10. And this number acts as a really solid baseline of structural trust before we even start talking about political bias. All right, on to Section 3. Community-driven bias readings, the second engine. The AI handles structural manipulation, but humans, we handle the bias. Here we see those 4 foundational pillars again. Users read the article, check the AI's factual baseline, and then they apply their own human judgment. They have to decide, does the framing of this piece lean liberal? Does it lean conservative? Is it a truly independent, down-the-middle report? Or is it completely fabricated fake news? And this applies to a massive array of articles flowing through the feed, from health pieces on CBS News to political updates on Fox News or the BBC. In the actual user interface, it is absolutely impossible to miss. Right in the center of the screen, right beneath the headline of this political speech article, you're presented with the 4 prominent voting buttons. This requires active engagement. The user isn't just passively scrolling through an infinite feed. They are asked to critically evaluate the text and cast their vote. And as thousands of users do this across thousands of articles, FLIC builds a massive, real-time database of perceived media bias. It's pretty amazing. Which brings us to Section 4, evaluating sources and authors, the macro level. So you might be wondering, what happens to all those individual article votes? Well, they aggregate upwards to create these incredibly transparent data profiles. And this is where the data gets fascinating. Look at this comparison. On the left, USA Today, as a broader publication, is overwhelmingly rated independent by the community, represented by that really large purple bar. But look at the right side. One of their specific authors, Glenn Irby, is rated strong right. It's a vital media literacy lesson, really. You can't just judge an article by the logo at the top of the page. You have to evaluate the specific journalist writing it. And this brings us to a vital distinction that the platform makes: trust versus bias. This is a crucial aha moment for understanding modern media. A high bias level doesn't automatically mean low trust. Going back to our previous example, Glenn Irby has a 60% high right bias leaning based on the community consensus. However, his trust score, which measures overall reliability and factual accuracy, is an excellent 88%, graded as very good. This proves that a writer can definitely have a clear political perspective while still being a highly trusted, factual reporter. The platform completely separates the two concepts. Now let's dive into Section 5, gamifying the news experience, building user reputation. With any platform relying on crowdsourced data, you have to ask a hard question about the users themselves. It's the elephant in the room, right? How does a platform ensure its community actually votes responsibly and avoids trolls just spamming one single button over and over to skew the data? Well, the answer lies in a carefully structured reputation and gamification system. FLIC actually rewards balanced, consistent participation through badges. You only become a trusted analyst after casting over 200 thoughtful votes. But even more importantly, to earn the Balanced Thinker badge, a user has to actively use all 4 voting categories over time. So the system mathematically disincentivizes extreme single-issue voting and actively rewards users who demonstrate they are evaluating a really wide spectrum of media fairly. Let's look at a real user profile to see this in action. Out of 1,222 total votes cast by this person, the spread is incredibly even. 27% liberal, 30% conservative, 34% independent, and 9% fake news. This is someone who is reading broadly and categorizing fairly. Because their voting history is so balanced and consistent, the algorithm actually weighs their future votes with higher authority. It's a self-correcting ecosystem that naturally pushes the cream to the top. Let's move to our final section, Section 6, curating a personalized feed, escaping the echo chamber. What is the ultimate payoff for the user in all of this? It's taking all of this AI and community data and using it to literally take control of your own media diet. And this is where the power shifts right back to you, the reader. On these customization screens, you aren't just picking topics like technology or politics. You are actually selecting your preferred bias mix. By selecting balanced, mix of all perspectives, you are actively instructing the platform to break you out of your filter bubble. You are demanding a feed that intentionally shows you the blue, the red, and the purple side by side for every major story. You get to see exactly how the other side is covering the exact same event, which completely demystifies the spin. So the absolutely crucial takeaway from looking at this platform is this: informed consumption requires transparent data. FLIC doesn't try to hide bias. It actually shines a massive bright spotlight right on it. By separating the AI's factual analysis from the community's bias ratings, and by tracking authors independently from their publishers, it makes the hidden mechanics of the media entirely visible to the everyday reader. Which leaves us with one final thought. I want you to think about the apps or the websites you check every single morning. Are you seeing the whole story, or are you only seeing the slice of the pie that an invisible algorithm thinks you want to see? Does your current media diet show you the full picture? I highly encourage you to step back, look at how you consume information, and consider adding some structured transparency to your daily read. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time as we break down another fascinating topic.